Barakatah Yahweh Bahashim, Yahushai Bahashim, Barakah Kudash. I want to start off by saying, call Loyum La Yahweh Bahashim, Yahushai Bahashim, Barakah Kudash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And last but not least, I want to give my peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect. Real quick, I want to do a video concerning this topic. Matthew the 5th chapter, starting at verse 30, or actually verse 29, right? And this came to me after a conversation I had with a few brothers. One that's, that's like, fellowshipping with us, and you got another brother in the DC camp, and we were just talking, chatting, and he was telling me about his. We were telling each other about the different vices that we have that is addicting, right? And that we are looking to cut, right? Because this is what this thing is all about. We're striving to be perfect, right? And perfection comes through trial and error, okay? But in order to achieve perfection, there are things that may hold you back within this ministry, right? Whatever it may be that is not allowing for you to get to that next level. And it could be something that's not sinful, right? It's not a sin for you to do it, but when you do it personally, it messes you up. Okay, and I have my own particular vice. The brother has his. We were, exchanging, telling each other's our vices. I don't think he wants me to, put his information out there, so I'm not going to go into the type of vices that brothers may have. But whatever it is, as things get closer and closer, we have to tap more into the spirit. And this is first and foremost for me myself, because I've been examining these past few weeks my conduct, really. And the reason why that is because I've noticed that I'm not really getting the things that I want. Now we understand that things usually don't go your way, but if you're serving Yahweh Shem Yashai, right, truth be told, he's not going to withhold any good thing from you as long as it doesn't impede on the ministry. And when I was doing these things and I was failing and I wasn't getting what I wanted, I had to sit back and say, does the Lord require more of me? Is the Lord looking for something from me, right, that he wants me to give up? Okay, these are the type of thoughts that I was asking myself, and I came to the conclusion. I was like, yeah, maybe I should start cutting down on these different vices that I have and go more for Yahweh Shem Yashai, because Scripture says that much is given, much is required. So I've been given a substantial amount of knowledge, and maybe the Lord wants me to put more out, with this ministry, start putting more out with this work and really going harder than I have been going, right? So this is Matthew the 5th chapter, okay, and I'm going to start at verse 29. It says, and if thy right hand offend thee. Now, you got to look at this from a parabolic standpoint, perspective, okay? It's not actually talking about your physical body, but the Lord is using physical members of your body to represent these things. That right eye could represent a gambling habit that you may have. Maybe you're addicted to gambling, and even though it is not really a sin, right, it may impede on your spiritual growth. That's something that may slow you down in this ministry of ours, profitable to all men. Give me 1 second. To all men. Okay. Yeah, this is Sirach 37, verse 28, verse 27, right? And this comes through examination. That's why the scripture says, examine yourself whether you be in the faith, all right? Anytime, any moment when you feel like something is wrong, you got to, take a step back and recollect in your mind, like, you know, is there something that I'm doing wrong? Examine your actions the following week, the following month, the following year, and say, are there things that I could improve on? Can I become a better communicator within the body? All these different things are beneficial, or let me say, they may seem like minuscule, right? They may not seem as important, but when you neglect these things, they build up to be bigger issues, and towards the end, a small matter turns into a big issue, and then that's when brothers get involved and start having counsel, and you don't want to get to that point. A man of the Lord is supposed to be able to rebuke himself first and see where he's going off before you can go ahead out there in the highways and byways and rebuke others as well. All right, that's the whole point of us being judges and kings. We're learning how to govern ourselves first before we govern the world. How can a man become a king if he does not know how to govern himself? So the Lord, he's teaching us to be rulers. He's teaching us to be kings, and the way to become a king is through wisdom. Okay, and wisdom is the what? It's the application of what you know, and that comes through what? Understanding. And understanding builds into experience. Experience builds into trying out, failure, succeeding, seeing what works and what doesn't. All right? All these things are what a part of this ministry. This is Sirach 37, verse 27. It says, my son, prove thy soul. So you're supposed to prove your soul. Try it. Try these different things out and see what works for you and what doesn't. All right? There are some brothers out there that where they can't handle alcohol, right? It just messes them up in the spirit. And there are other brothers out there who can drink like 10 bottles and still feel fine through the spirit and not be a drunkard or, a raging fool and have demons jump on them, There are brothers out there who may be fine taking edibles and getting high, right? But if another brother takes it, he starts bugging out. See, these are things that, that occur within the ministry. So that's why we always say, you gotta don't follow anybody else's walk, because what may work for another individual will not work for you. Okay, your soul is totally different from another person. Your walk is totally different. Your faith is totally different. Your lot is totally different. We don't have all the same lots, the same offices, and so on and so forth. My son, prove thy soul in thy life, right? Prove it, all right, and see what is evil for. So find out the things that may hinder your progress or your growth within this ministry, and give not that unto it. And it's not easy, It's a fight, because for some of us, we have been doing these vices for so long that it's become a habit, right? You know what they say, long habits die. There's a saying, it's like something to the effect of habits, long habits take long to die, or something to that effect, right? But it has to be done, and one can expedite it through prayer and fasting and continuous prayer and sending up prayers, right? But it also takes spiritual fortitude, a mental discipline to abstain from these things, okay? For all things are not profitable for all men, right? They're not profitable. One thing that works for a brother may not work for you. Neither has every soul pleasure in everything, okay? So find out what works for you, okay? If you can be drinking and not feel fucked up, then hey, more power to you. But don't try to force that on another brother. Don't try to say, hey, brother, you should start doing this. No. Let every man, right, as the scripture says, let every man be fully persuaded, right? And we don't come in this thing to force our habits on other brothers, If a brother likes going to a gun range and shooting guns, let him do it. But don't try to force that same hobby on another individual. Okay, you know, we are our own people, our own personalities, our own souls, different traits that brothers may have, different spirits. So, you know, and that's the beauty of this thing. That shows you that this is not really a cultist group, because a cult, right? In a cult, everybody will be doing the same thing. But you see here in this thing that we all have our different personalities, different garments, right? We don't have matching fucking garments like IUIC and ISBK. We have different garments, different personalities, different spirits, different occupations. They got brothers with diverse occupations, from white collar to blue collar, right? You know? And that's how the Yahweh Shem Yahshua has. He got brothers with diverse appearances from diverse tribes. Okay? So that's what the Most High is dealing with. He's not dealing with just one prototype of the elect. The elect are going to come from all walks of life. Let's go to Matthew, the 5th chapter. And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out. Okay? So you got there's a saying in Chicago, you got to nip it in the bud and cast it from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not thy whole body should be cast in hell. So it's better for you to suffer that thing, right? That vice, just get rid of it, than for that vice to come and destroy you in the end, you know? And I'm speaking first and foremost for myself, because there are vices that I do. Maybe I play video games too much, or maybe I watch TV too much, that may hinder my spiritual growth. Okay, and these are things I need to cut back on, right? Whatever vices you have, it may be different from you, but you gotta figure that out, because the Lord wants perfection, and the Lord wants nothing less from us. As we get closer and closer to the finish line, we have to step up our game. We have to increase the intensity, okay, on the right hand side. It has been said, okay, so that's it on there. Oh, actually, no, let me start at verse 30. And if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off. Remember, this is not physical, this is a spiritual thing. You actually have people out there that actually try to follow this to a T, and they went and cut their right hand off. They plucked out their right eye, just bugged out, right? And cast it from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that whole body should be cast into hell. So whatever a hobby or vice that you may do, right, and you think it's hindering you, cut that shit out right now, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahshai, because the Lord wants nothing less from us, all right? So with that, I guess I could go ahead and close out. I'm going to give all praises, honors, and glories due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Roat Dash, giving double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of the millstone. Well, peace, blessings, and salutations to you like that out there. Shalom. Wa Mawaf Labah. Mawaf Lababah. Shalom.